Hey YouTube, this is Prometheus, guys, giving you more defensive breakdowns and live gameplay. I've got another opponent that ran some empty bunch Y-flex against me, and I'm going to show you some adjustments I made. When I got into the wrong defense, he exposed it, but when I was in the correct defensive setup, he actually had a hard time with it. So I wanted to kind of show this how this works out. I'm going to have the board once again. And when I'm setting up my defense, especially if I'm running against like the Cowboys, one of the things I do is I always go ahead and use defend outside run. I know in MUT this is a little bit different, but I do this because this running back is really good. Tony Pollard is probably one of the better running backs in the game. Very hard to stop. He breaks tackles. He's got really good agility. And usually if he gets outside against me and turns the corner, you can give up a house run. I've ran into some good Cowboys players that use Tony Pollard, and he's definitely a good running back. So you have to prepare for him. So that was one of the minor adjustments that I do when I play the game. So going once again with the nickel defense, I might be switching over to just a nickel over. And I think it's going to help me with run fits a little bit. But setting things up right now, one new adjustment is that I put cover 9 in as one of my other adjustments. And the reason I do that is so I can defend against basically his sets. So he's in a wing nasty set. And usually what I like to do is just I pretty much come out of cover 6 in most parts of the game. Unless I jump into empty, then I have a different defense I'll come out of. But right here, I'm just going to set this up with the run. I'm going to drop my guy down to the box. I'm not really worried about any kind of a threat with passing because he's got a very heavy set with the tight ends. He doesn't really have fast tight ends. You just pop it down to a little drag route right there and picks up a couple of yards. But this is telling me on the first play of the game that he likes to do things underneath, meaning that I'm going to have to be conscious of making sure that I give up cheap yards underneath, and that I also could potentially be exposed over the top, so I don't want to be a little bit too anxious with it. So right here, whenever I see close sets like this, one of the adjustments I like to do is to take my defenders and man them up on the outside wide receivers. This is better on a deuce close type formation. I'll drop this guy down to the box, and I'm going to basically look for any kind of, I'll try to double team the seam, or try to clear up the seams. But one of the adjustment I'll do is I'll try to take a defender right here and actually put them into some type of a spy, just so the quarterback can't scramble out. You're going to see him coming back to these tight sets. Now here he actually jumps into the gun trip spread. Anytime I see empty, usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into a different defense. I want to see what he's running, so basically I think I got my guys pressed down right here. I jumped into palms coverage, and I come down. I was figuring he was going to do a drag. I came down to this drag. He actually threw right over me, and in that type of situation, he's able to pick up a good yard. So it was basically a stutter and go type of a play. So now he's in basically the close formation. Now, anytime I see close, there's always a threat of the run. But the thing that I'm really most concerned with, because it's very hard to stop play, is any kind of a play that's got a mesh concept, where you got these guys going over, you got yourself a sit, and then you've got this wheel route. That's my biggest concern. Anytime I see a tight set like this, or either a doubles tight or a doubles or a deuce close type set like this, that's the type of offensive scheme that can cause you some problems. So I'm going to go ahead and still run this where I'm doubling the outside wide receivers. He tries to run to the outside with the formation, no huddles. And then he actually goes and switches into a different formation, which is a wing twin formation. Now, I'm not really worried about these guys going over the top because I've got these guys defend. I'm more or less worried about kind of a run off to the right. So I'm going to pull the safety down, and really the smart thing to do is to actually jump onto the guy right here, which essentially is going to be my middle linebacker. So he does a quick huddle right there. Basically, have the seam. I showed him the seam. He drops it down to the running back and doesn't pick up any. He only picks up 3 yards on that. So that was a win in the situation. Now he goes into gun, empty, bunch, Y flex. You're going to see a bunch of this with this guy. He ran this as one of his formations. And one of the things I do is I'll call safety blitz 2 down. It's a man adjustment, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump into cover for palms, so I've got matching principles with the palms. Now, my preference is to take this backside defender, this guy right here, and put him into a 3-rec hook. That's my goal. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the 3-rec side over here is a way to go ahead and defend that. Let's see if I get the adjustments in. I unfortunately go ahead and put this guy into a curl flat. He should be in a 3-rec. I fumbled a little bit because this guy was essentially quick snapping me, and I was trying to make adjustments with his defense. He actually drops it down to the flat on the little crossing route, and that's a good route there. So if I would actually had the 3-rec hook on the other side, that probably would have been a little bit better. So now he's got the strength of the formation over here, so that's why I slid my line over. And usually if I get time, I'm going to go ahead and man this guy up, use his safety, bring him down to the box, and try to defend the run. He flips the play. I flip the play, go to the safety on the opposite side. So I think I switched into cover 9, which is what I'm going to do. And you can see I shifted my guys off, and because I did shift my guys off, they're out there. But this is the magic of Tony Pollard. He whiffs my guy right here. This guy's on his face, and then he runs past the other guy, and he gets an angle, and he's gone. And that's the problem with Tony Pollard, and that's why you want to play outside run support, because those stretch plays with Tony Pollard are really effective. So if you're playing regs, you're playing online, you run into a Cowboys user, you don't know what kind of a defensive adjustment you want to use out of the gate, always go with basically outside zone runs. Try to protect the outside zone runs, because that's where most people will beat you with Pollard. They're not going to run in between the tackles. They're going to try to get to the outside. So right here he goes with a little play action play, dots me up on the sideline. So that's actually a good play right there. I think if I had basically palms in that type of situation and had a deep third out there, that would have got played. But it was a really good play right there. Now he goes into a bunch set. He's got his bunch right here. You got a single back. You got a tight end. So anytime I'm thinking of this, I'm thinking basically this type of a passing concept. I'm thinking mesh. You got that one route that kind of carries, and then you have that deep dig that carries on the backside. So that's very common to see, but I think that's more of a single back type formation. But that's usually what I see when I'm running that, seeing that in my defense. So I did do hard flats. He does run the ball and actually picks up a nice chunk of yards. I think when he was running this bunch formation, this tight end bunch formation, he was running different plays other than what I would normally expect. So back at it, a gun, deuce close. So once again, my primary thing I like to do is I like to go ahead and take these guys and man them up, drop my user down in the box, and then if I can, I'll spy up a middle defender. And I do that because it just makes it a little bit more difficult. So that's exactly what happens. I actually get this set up. Everybody's matching, but here's the thing. He's doing mesh, and see how mesh is just so deadly? It's just a quick snapper's dream. So there's an adjustment that you could do with mesh spot. I like to take my edge defender and put him into hard flat. You're going to see me come back to that, because a lot of times when people jump into those formations and they hit you with mesh spot, they'll come back to that ball, they'll come back to that play, and they're going to quick snap you. So you got to be prepared for it, and you have to bait them. And you're going to see how I baited him on these particular plays. So now he comes into an empty set. I go ahead and set up basically, I think, Palm's defense. My guys are falling back in coverage. I'm looking for the crossing routes. He's frozen. He doesn't know where to go. He actually throws it up, and I've got a defender just sitting right there to pick him off. So if you get the play set up, what I like to do is I like to run palms. I like to go ahead and bring my safeties down to go ahead and just make it a little bit harder for him to read the matching coverages. And then if I can, I'll try to spy up somebody on the backside, but that's what I normally do, and it does cause some problems. So right here, basically, he gets the ball. The score's 14-7. I'm going to go ahead and shift my line over because this is where the strength of the formation. And if he wants to try to run back here, that's fine. I've got a guy right here that's going to take on a blocker. I've got this guy coming down in a run fit. I'm going to go ahead and shoot the gap. So I don't necessarily have a problem if he tries to go to the backside. He does a little play action play, and I guess he didn't like the tightness of this play. It's on that side of the ball. He should have flipped this play and ran the play action the opposite direction, but he was on that one hash, and I guess he didn't like the read, so he just checks it down to Pollard. He picks up 5 yards. So that was a win for him from a standpoint. A loss for me, but I just felt that since he didn't hit the corner, I felt good about that. So once again, I actually have basically underneath coverage, and I jump into palms coverage just to see how things match up with it. And I'm going to take this edge defender and I'm going to put him in a hard flat, because what I'm concerned about when I see this formation is I'm concerned that I'm going to have this, mesh concept. And I want to make sure I have a defender out here to take away that, that primary read, which is going to be that underneath route that's got all the other stuff. So he actually jumps into an RPO. My defense does not respond correctly, and he pops me for a big gainer. The funny thing is he never goes back to this in the entire game. He stays away from it. I would have kept on going to that until I showed him that I could stop it, but I guess he didn't like the setup. So I go back to the same setup once again. He huddles me, goes into mesh, and right here he actually throws right into my defender. I knocked the ball out, but that should have been an interception. You're going to see him make that mistake later on. But that's one of the reasons why I use palms coverages to set this up. I'm going to bring the guys down in the box to go ahead and make it a little bit more opposing, and then I'm going to drop one guy out into a flat zone, and that pretty much will clean up that match principle. So now he goes into similar situation where he goes into an empty set, and I don't think I set up the defense correctly. So actually, no, I've got palms again with this. He's looking over the top. This should have been picked off. I had 3 defenders where he's trying to squeeze the ball in. That should have been an interception right there. You got a little bit, you got a little cowboy love right there. So now I jump into cover 3, bring my guy down to the box. He goes into a little out route, and because the guy's out in the flat, that almost got picked off. He settles for 3 points, so that's huge. He gets 3 points, but I'm up by a possession, so I have no problem with that defensively. It was essentially it's a stop because he's still down by possession, and that's ideally what you want to do. So he does get the ball back. I go into palms, and he switches into a different defense. Now this is right here when you see someone switch out of what they're doing, you want to switch your defense too. I should have jumped into cover 6. Where I've had my flat defender, or cover 9 actually. I should have been in cover 9 when he switched in this, because I should have a flat defender out here, but I didn't prepare for it correctly. I just stayed in palms. I had basically he hit me with a little dragger on the backside. If I would have had that spot zone out there, that would have picked up that route when I had a defender in that area, but I actually messed up. So now he's no huddling me, that he's switching up what he's running. He goes into basically bunch off to the right side. I've got my guys unaligned, and right here actually takes a shot over the top. But once again, I've got this matching principle that messes a lot of players up. Good players sometimes just don't understand match. They don't understand how the defensive backs play. It's a hybrid of a man and zone, and a lot of times they'll make mistakes and try to push the ball down the field. And if you put fast enough and athletic enough defensive backs in your secondary, especially the safety and free safety position, a lot of times they'll get really cheap and easy picks for you. So right here, I inadvertently, you could see, I have these guys up into deep zones. I was actually trying to put myself into palms. I forgot to make that adjustment. So now I've got the middle of the field wide open, and I've got deep zones out there, and he essentially just throws it right against my user. So he challenged my user, and he got away with a lot of passes right there. So if I would have had palms, I would have had some guys that are actually going to go ahead and be looking for those crossing routes. But unfortunately, he's able to go ahead and capitalize on that situation, and essentially score on me before the end of the half. So I go up by another score. Typically, what I like to do is, if I get time, I'm going to go and shift this line over, because I want to make sure I have a run fit out here. So a cover cover 6 is going to be pretty good, but you can see he got the edge out there, and he got inside my defender. So because I didn't shift my line over, that stretch still worked pretty well for him. So now I close up the line because previously he ran the ball up the middle of the field, and I'm just going to run this play stock. And you can see right here, I actually go ahead and get a nice little tackle. My guys shot the gaps, got in the backfield. I think, huddles. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for a drag. I'm waiting for another drag. I'm waiting for the crosser over the top, and then I'm waiting for basically deep in the follow. And a lot of times it's going to be in this area. But what happens is that these guys go in different directions. So he's got a flat route right here. He's got this route right here. He caught me, basically off. I'm expecting this guy to come in towards me, and he just sticks right here. So he called a good play. It was just a good play for the way I was running my defense and what I was anticipating him to do. He just caught me off guard. So really good play. Play action curls. That's the last time he uses this in this gameplay. He's really blending a lot of stuff against me. Now he actually goes into basically a run formation, but you can see the wide side of the field's on this side. So I shifted my guys off to this side, anticipating he'll probably flip it. And he goes to play action. Oliver gets out of position. And right here, I just missed my animation right there. I could have got an interception. He actually threw the ball right to me with the play action deep crosser. So, when you know your pass responsibilities, you can definitely go ahead and catch your opponent off guard, because you can just wait for those routes to fall into you. And if you can get a good, good animation, you can definitely get interception. So right here, I'm in palms again. He's doing some crossing routes, and I'm trying to drop it down. I get a nice little block shed, hit pressure against him. He's just running these plays stock. He's not doing anything spectacular about it. So set my defense up. Blitz is coming. So I'm once again in the wrong defense. And I've got a man assignment with my user, and I'm not expecting to have a man assignment. Right here I come across the middle of the field. He just caught me in the wrong defense. So I'm not in the right defense in that type of situation. So just a bad adjustment. So now he's back again in this deuce close formation. So I'm expecting mesh. It's the meta, and it's the play that's very hard to stop. Let's see if we go ahead and make any kind of adjustments. See how I go ahead and put a hard flat out here. I want to go ahead and just try to bait him. I'm going to user this guy over the middle of the field, and if he tries to hit me with a streak over the middle of the field, we'll do that. He does an off tackle run. Nice little run right there just to catch me off guard. He only picks up 3 yards, but you can see no huddles. So once again, I got to be expecting mesh. Mesh is going to be one of those things that you got to look for when you see those bunch sets. He goes into a deuce ace look, and we got basically on this side, he's got the strength of the formation. This tight end is not fast, so I'll let him try to beat me over the middle of the field. But what's going to happen with the run? He'll probably go to the run on the outside if he runs the outside. Or what's going to happen is these guys are going to try to carry over the middle of the field. And with me using this guy, I have to defend over the middle of the field. I've got these guys that will match up, so they will carry over there for me. So I'm just going to play down in the box. Switches it up. Goes back at it. Goes back at the new defense right now, and I've got a hard flat out here, which I don't want to have, but it was too late. He basically just went and quick snapped me again with the off tackle. So he wasn't giving up on the run. You got to hand it to this guy. This guy was still using the inside zone. He's picking up 3 yards a shot. Not a bad decision. Now he goes into the gun bunch flex. Got my guys coming down. That's one of the base play I'm going to call, and then I don't have it set up correctly. So right here I've got this guy into deep third. I've got the blitz coming down. I set up a hook zone. I just wasn't setting up palms when I was doing it. It was just it was not necessarily what I wanted to do, but you can see pressure's coming in. This guy's pretty much has all day. Right there, I got nobody in that area to go and take that away. So it wasn't like I wanted to go ahead and do the doubles. It's just that he just kept catching me off guard. So goes into an inside run. He's just milking the clock. He's very patient. He's running the ball. He's not making any kind of mistakes. And Now I'm going to go ahead and put these guys in the man coverage. I've got my deep routes right here, and I'm going to just play in the middle of the box and just see if he makes any kind of decisions in the middle of the box and try to defend against the run. He does a play action, and he's got essentially a flat, and I think he's got this route which is coming over the middle, and then he's got this crossing route which is not matched up, and I'm actually going to go ahead and carry it as my responsibility. He gets double teamed. His flat, he should have checked down to it, but he forces a ball into his wide receiver, but fortunately for we knocked it out. That should have been intercepted. It just didn't get the interception animation. Now he's showed me mesh in a couple different situations, and anytime I see this type of stuff, man, I'm expecting mesh. If you've shown it to me a couple different times, I'm expecting it. So I think what I did is I jumped into cover 6. I'm staying in cover 6, but I'm going to go ahead and put this hard flat out here. And the reason I do this is that when the wheel comes up, the hard flat takes that read right away, and when the crossing route comes to the back side, the hard flat will come back into it and cut it off. So that, people are looking in this area for mesh. That's the area they're looking at because there's so much action that are clearing things out. So you can see the wheel the wheel route that if he's going to try to throw it is taken away. I've got this guy over the top. I've got a cloud flat out here. This guy's sticking. He's carrying. I'm going to use her over the middle of the field, and then he checks it back down to the dragging route, which essentially is wide open, and Boza picks it off. So I was waiting for him. He just kept coming back to mesh. He kept coming back to mesh. He kept showing me formations where he's going to hit it. He hit me with mesh a couple different times early on, and then he tries to go ahead and do it to me when the game's on the line. And I'm able to go ahead and pick up a victory from this guy. I punch the ball into the end zone and get a rage against him. So once again, guys, thanks for your support. If you do like this type of stuff, you can go to my Patreon, guys. Basically, I've got a breakdown of all different types of formations. I've got a full scheme out of the Bears. I've got extensive schemes built out of the spread formation. I've got an ebook for the Browns and Cardinals, an ebook for the Eagles, and then obviously I've got some breakdowns of how I run my Patriots defense. So if you do like that type of stuff, go to my Patreon. Thanks for your support, guys. Until next time.